You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. And don't forget about your brain. Well, if you already forgot about your brain, you really need to listen to what I'm going to say. Boxing Brain Health. It's not just for boxers. It's not even just for athletes. It's for anybody that has a brain. You know, so if you have a brain, you should check out www.boxingbrainhealth.com. In all seriousness, it's the only brain-specific vitamin supplement on the market today that's geared for your brain, for the health of your brain. Check out the video and all the testimonials and find out why I am a happy user of this product, and you should be too. So check it out, www.boxingbrainhealth.com. And speaking of a guy who's got a big brain and a smart one at that, my man Daxx Khan joins us. What's up, Dax?
Who's that?
Yeah. What? Ding, ding, huh? What? You know, what's going on?
I thought you were asking me if I know anybody's got a smart brain.
No. You need to take an extra one today. But anyway, fights this week, you know. We talked about some fights. It's kind of a slow weekend, kind of. But I thought you did a good job. I thought you decided to pick 3 fights this week that may not have world championship ramifications yet, but all 3 of them feature some pretty competitive bouts. So I'm ready to roll when you are, my man.
Yeah, you know, I figured since we got some big fights coming around, and like you said, it's a slow week, I figured, you know, this would be a good week to focus on some prospects. And there's one on this list that I'm really excited about. I've seen him fight a few times, and I'm a big fan of his. You know, we'll start on October 29th. We're going to start over at the Bounce TV card, you know, on Friday, and that's going to be the junior welterweight bout between undefeated prospects Haskell Rose and Sergey Lipnitz. You know, Haskell Rose, you know, fights out of Vegas, trained by Floyd Mayweather Sr. You know, which is a plus. Great mind to have a guy like Floyd Mayweather Sr. behind you. Rhodes is an aggressive fighter, possesses quality hand speed and footwork, mixes his punches well. He punishes the head and the body equally. He throws his punches, and he compensates for his lack of power. He doesn't have impressive power, but, you know, and he doesn't have enough to make his opponents really respect him. So the way he comes at his opponents, you know, using angles and his volume really makes up for that. And so far, you know, it's done him well because he's managed to go 23-1. You know, the cons on him, you know, he's a little too big for a small guy, Bill. You know, Haskell Rhodes stands about 5'4", maybe 5'5" at the best. He has a little too much bulk on him, in my opinion. I think he can benefit greatly by getting rid of some of that, dropping down the division. Might even increase his power in doing so. With a little bit less bulk on him, he'd also increase his speed and stamina. He's a good finisher, but again, he's no one-puncher guy, and yet for some reason, he carries himself like a one-punch guy. It's not the case. That might backfire on him one time. I'm surprised, considering the camps he's with and the trainer he has. He's not a more relaxed and cerebral fighter in the ring. Throws his punches wide in flurries. A relaxed fighter is going to get through those. Rhodes has also been fairly easy, and those flaws, as I mentioned, might not be what's going to, you know, get him by on Friday night. And I think it might be easy because, you know, his team knows that these are flaws that are ready to be exposed. The guy across from him, Sergey Lipnitz, from Kazakhstan, you know, lives in Russia, has a long amateur career in Russia. He's a former full-contact fighter, MMA and pro, and amateur and pro, which is also Haskell Rhodes was for a little while. Lipnitz had a solid kickboxing career. He has a great chin. He mixes up his attack and his punches. I think last week either Larry or Sal spoke about guys when they know to differ the power on a punch. So your opponent does not always know what to expect. You know, if you throw the same thing, your opponent knows he's always going to throw that big punch and ready to brace himself. And Lipnitz, he knows that how to lull his opponents to sleep with soft punches. He baits them into loosening their guard, and then he lands that big nightcap shot. He does have genuine one-punch, legitimate knockout power. He's a little bit part Triple G and Provocative in his style. I use the comparisons because of that one-punch power, the composure, and like Provocative, he's willing to walk through anything to land. You know, the cons on him, of course, anytime we see a fighter willing to eat punches, Bill, that's a con. A solid chin can be habit-forming in terms of reliability. They rely on that chin to get them through tough moments instead of going into their bag of skills. That approach can be detrimental to long-term health. He's not the fastest guy, be it with his hands or on his feet, but he makes up for it like cutting off the ring. My official pick here is going to be Lipnitz. That one-punch power, the composure, combined with the solid chin, makes it hard to pick against him. Once Rhodes opens up, he believes too much in his power, and he swings wide. Lipnitz is going to end that in one big punch. It's going to be on his highlight reel in the future, I promise you.
Rhodes is a fighter that you think is going to be using the ring, and like you mentioned, he's got the Vegas connection, so maybe the judges lean to him. I think it's going to boil down to if Sergey Lipinets can be a ring general, can cut the ring off, and still be able to land a punch. You make a great point about his lack of hand speed, which is an understatement, I think. I think that he's, Prodanikov isn't exactly a fast-handed fighter either, and I think Lipinets is slower than him. But regardless of that, I agree with you. I think that the power and the lack of affordable opposition that Haskell Rose has been in with, I think Lipinets is going to be a shock. And I think you make another point that I didn't even realize, but about Rhodes possibly in the wrong division because of maybe discipline issues with the size, so around the belly type size, not height wise. So I agree with you. I'm going with Lipinets myself.
Yeah, Lipinets, he only has those 7 fights, but because he does have the extensive amateur background, the MMA and the WAKO full contact background, so he's had time to adjust inside that ring and know how to handle the pressure that you wouldn't see in most guys with a 7-0 record. Even though when one of the most brutal knockouts I've seen is when he fought Casimir Rivera. Rivera way past his best, obviously, but man, he hit Rivera with this one punch that you just stood there and your jaw dropped. You thought somebody took a shotgun from the back row and shot Rivera. This guy has legitimate, scary power.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to show it Friday night.
I think so. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm here. What's the next one?
Oh, you started breaking up there a second. I didn't know if I was losing you there.
No. That was last time. That was last week. And I don't even know if that was you or me. I don't know. But
that was you, because I tried to call back, and it was making that, remember back when we used to have the soup cans? And, it was the number you're trying to reach. Remember
back when we used to have the soup cans. Thanks, Dax. Yeah.
All right, next up is going to be the Javante Starks versus Samuel Figueroa bout. That's also going to be on the same card. Starks, he's an interesting kid. He's lucky to even be boxing after his 2007 shooting. Remember, he was caught in a drive-by or something. He almost lost his leg. He had a better than average amateur career. He won some national, state, and ringside tournaments. He's confident. He shows composure in the ring, more than prospects at his stage really do. A lot of times they get overzealous trying to impress, and that's when they make mistakes. So far, Starks has been able to avoid being one of those guys. Starks, the cons on him, he lacks some technical fundamentals. He keeps his left hand a little too low, and he throws punches a little too wide. Those wide punches are not exactly with bad intentions either. So when one lands, it's not like they inflict enough damage to deter an opponent from returning fire. While he is relaxed in the ring, like I stated, and how that can be an attribute, it's a flaw because he's a little too relaxed. He has one speed. You need to know when to turn it on. You have to have different speeds for different situations. The best way to sum it up is, he comes off as if he's having a relaxed sparring session all the time. He's also had some weak competition so far, and so, we really don't know exactly how he's going to react if that pressure is placed upon him. The guy standing across from him, the undefeated Samuel Figueroa, he's a good puncher, 24 years old, 9-0, 7 knockouts. He has solid power, and he's pure pressure. He has a seek and destroy mentality from start to finish. Keeps a nice tight defense, and he's effective both on the outside and inside. The cons on him is he does get overzealous. When he does, he makes mistakes. That's when his pressure style can work against him. I've seen him get frustrated in fights when guys don't present the openings he's looking for, and when he gets a little bit sloppy in those moments. My official pick here is going to be Starks. Because he's so relaxed, he's going to be able to frustrate and capitalize on Figueroa's mistakes. He's going to be looking to try and impress the audience a little bit too much, and that's when Starks is going to be able to outpoint him and get a decision down the road in this one.
It's a tough one for me. I'm still on the fence with this pick. I have not officially made my pick on this one. I'm going to evaluate what you said and take my pick. I was leaning towards Starks, but I don't know. I'm just again. I look at him and I look at a very, very unimpressive resume. And I don't know. I can't give my official on this one, but you got Starks. That's good.
Yeah, I got Starks, only because, like I said, he is so relaxed in there, and he is a little bit awkward. And, on TV, as we was talking about in that last fight, when guys get on TV, they're really looking to make that big first impression, and I think that's going to be the downfall right here for Samuel Figueroa. He's going to be trying to make that impression. I've seen him get frustrated in lesser bouts, and because Starks is able to be relaxed, that's going to be what's going to create the difference, in my opinion. The only thing that I said we don't know about Starks right now is how he handles when you get that pressure put on you. And Samuel Figueroa, in all the fights I've seen him in, that's all he knows is pressure.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's good for certain fighters, But I got to. I'll have my official pick more tomorrow on that one before the fight. But your third one is a good one: Tony Harrison against Cecil McCalla.
Yes, this is the fight I really like. It's going to be Saturday in Texas. Tony Harrison, he's tall. He has true, legitimate one-punch power. Considering Harrison is a Kronk Gym protege, you'd expect exactly that from him. Power. And you expect him to be a big finisher and do it with an exclamation mark every time. And Tony Harrison has, anytime he has finished an opponent. He has speed to go with that power, which is a plus because the punch you don't see coming is the one that does the most damage. He's been a professional for 4 years. They've mixed his opponent list up pretty well. By matching him in with veteran fighters, he can learn a little bit from each of those guys he's been in. Meanwhile, they're winnable fights, but they're opponents that have been able to give him different angles and guys that are able to show him something that you really wouldn't get from those matchups of going against guys that are 0-2 or 1-4. He's been in with a few veterans. The cons on Harrison is while he has been matched up well and he has that Kronk Gym mentality and that power, seems to work both ways. Just as much of a destroyer he can be in the ring, like most greats of the Kronk legacy, he's able to be dispatched just as impressively. We witnessed that against his last fight with Willie Nelson. Harrison made some comments before that fight. "I'll never lose to a country singer." Willie Nelson sang him a ballad that night, Bill. I promise. The rest of Tony Harrison's life, Willie's always going to remain on his mind. While he has a great variety of experienced opponents coming up, none were the type that could really place him in danger, and that's really what happened in that Willie Nelson fight. He never had to overcome that adversity. You got to do it a little bit. Grady Brewer and former world champion Bronco McCart, at the stage he faced him, were not able to give him that much-needed test. Cecil McCalla, across from him, this is a guy that bounces from welterweight to junior middleweight. The pros on Cecil is he's a slick boxer who gives his opponents angles they might not be used to seeing. And, considering he bounces back and forth, not a lot of fighters are able to do that, jump from one division to another and be successful in both without ever draining the body. He seems never seems to have to take off too much weight or put on too much weight to make those fights. We've seen him actually bounce back and forth from one fight to another. That enforces his conditioning. He's been a very active fighter. Outside of 2010 and 2013, where he only fought once, Cecil averages 3 or 4 more fights a year. The cons on Cecil is, who has Cecil beat? Harrison has beaten some vets, even though past their best, and it's better than anyone Cecil has to date. I stated a few seconds ago, he's not a big puncher. In this case, it's a point where he can't even keep guys honest. The 7 opponents that Cecil McCalla has stopped are combined 35 and 93. He's also coming in on back-to-back losses against Chris Van Heerden and former title holder Ishe Smith. They both outpointed him by a wide majority decision because they were able to walk right in on him. Cecil doesn't like a fast pace. Tony Harrison likes a fast pace, especially early. And he's going to bring that early, and that's just going to win him this fight. He's going to knock out Cecil very quickly, and this is going to be a great comeback fight and a confidence builder for Tony Harrison. My only worry about this fight for him, Bill, is it going to be a little bit too easy, and he's not going to learn anything from it, and he's going to go right back to the bad habits he had before he got knocked out by Willie Nelson.
I think you make a great point on this fight, 100%. I agree with you on Tony Harrison. I think that he's got a lot to prove. There's a lot of pressure on this young guy to come back from his loss against Willie Nelson. Cecil McCalla, you do a fantastic job pointing out that this is a bigger guy jumping back and forth, and without any problems. But like you, I'm picking Tony Harrison in this fight. I think I like Cecil McCalla. Don't get me wrong. I like him, but I think there's a lot on the line for Tony Harrison. And even though he's a young fighter and he's only got the 1 loss, if he doesn't come out on top this weekend in this fight, you could argue that he would go from prospect/contender to opponent very quickly. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Harrison, and I'm picking Harrison to win the fight.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. He has to win this fight, and he has to win it impressively. Tony Harrison. He's a likable guy, but I've always seen, before the Willie Nelson fight, I always did see that flaw in him, where, he was never pushed. We see that with a lot of guys, and we've seen it a lot over the years. Power punchers, no matter whatever it's been, we see it, Bill. They get hit. They're so used to hurting the guys and knocking them out, they get hit, and they don't know what to do. That was my one big question with Triple G and David Lemieux. Triple G's never been the guy who was pressured. I thought, what would happen if David Lemieux pressured him? Well, obviously, we got the answer to that.
Well, great job as usual on that, Dax, and good luck with your challenge picks. Now I just wanted to ask you